Hello, I'm Annabel with Journey for Earth, and my guest today is Stephen Wise, president of the Nonhuman Rights Project. Hi, Stephen. It's lovely to have you here and such an honor. I know you've been practicing animal protection law for 30 years and you've written 4 books. When and how did your passion for animal rights begin? Share your journey with us.
Well, it began in 1980 when I read Peter Singer's book, and at that time I realized that we were treating non-human animals in the way we were. I really had never thought about it before, and I had been a practicing lawyer at that time for about 4 years, and I'd gone into law because I was interested in social justice, and it just struck me that I would not be able to use those kinds of talents and interests better than to weigh in on the side of non-human animals who seem to be entitled to it, but not eligible for any at all. So I decided I would spend the rest of my professional life working to help non-human animals to pursue their interests and eventually to see if I could gain legal personhood and legal rights for at least some of them.
That's amazing. What a powerful book that was.
Yeah, it is.
And what do you find most challenging about the work that you do?
Well, non-human animals have never been legal persons. They've never been understood to have the capacity for legal rights. So that is the major challenge that both I have and that the Nonhuman Rights Project has, and that's what we've been working on now for many years. In 1985 is when I first decided that we needed to litigate or possibly legislate in order to gain legal personhood. That is the capacity to be a rights holder for any non-human animal. And I realized that in 1985, neither the world at large nor the legal system was certainly not in the United States was ready for that, and so I set out, in my own mind, a 30-year plan. I thought it would take 30 years both to lay the social framework for it, and of course I'm not doing it myself. There are hundreds or thousands of organizations around the world who are actually doing that, even though they don't recognize it. They may not recognize that that's what they are doing. And meanwhile, I spent time trying to figure out how to prepare the legal profession for that, how to begin teaching classes, because there weren't any in 1985. There weren't any classes being taught at law school. There were no legal case books. There were no trade books about it. There was very little discussion about it. There were no cases about it. And so a lot of work had to be done before cases could be filed that had either a reasonable chance of winning or of taking a step toward winning. So it actually took 28 years rather than 30 before the first suits were filed.
Wow, that's commitment. That's dedication. And what would your response be if someone asked, why should we protect animals?
Well, I guess the answer is why do you protect anyone? The first non-human animals that we are seeking legal rights for, legal personhood for, are those which we feel confident there is enough scientific evidence that we can prove that they are autonomous beings, that they can self-determine, that they can choose how to live their lives. And I think it's a moral crime, it ought to be a legal crime, and to be able to treat autonomous beings as if they're not. And so we value autonomy and dignity in human beings, which I think is linked to autonomy, and I think non-human animals who are autonomous have dignity as well, and we should protect their autonomy for the same reasons, whatever they might be, that we should protect our own.
Absolutely, I agree. And there's a film being made about the Nonhuman Rights Project, about you, called Unlocking the Cage. So just tell us a little about that and when it will be available for public viewing.
Sure. D.A. Pennybaker and his wife and fellow filmmaker Chris Hedges have been filming us for almost 3 years. They've had complete, unfettered access to all our internal conversations, our internal meetings. They film us when we're in court or when we're outside of our meetings doing whatever it is we are doing. And we filed 3 our first 3 habeas corpus suits in the state of New York in December of 2013. And I think they're going to continue filming until the last case works its way through the appellate process, which we think should be sometime in 2015. And at that time, I think the documentary will finish, and it should come out soon thereafter.
In 2015.
I think so. That's what they're saying. Unless the courts fool us and say their own decisions are going to take longer than we think.
Right. And you've touched on my next question. I was going to ask you about one of these cases that you filed last year. Give us an example of one of the cases and how it's going.
Sure. One case we filed was on behalf of a chimpanzee named Tommy, and we found Tommy in a cage, on a piece of land in rural central New York, in which he was by himself. Apparently, he had been by himself a long time, and we brought a common law writ of habeas corpus. We sought a common law writ of habeas corpus on behalf of Tommy in the lowest court up there, which in New York is called the Supreme Court. And the judge refused to issue the writ of habeas corpus, although he was quite sympathetic to us. And so we then appealed to the intermediate appellate court for the state of New York, that covers where Tommy is, or where the court in which we filed in which we sought the writ of habeas corpus on behalf of Tommy is. And we have an oral argument set either the first week of October or the second week of November. And interestingly enough, the person who claims he owns Tommy has notified the court that he's not filing a brief to oppose this. He's not arguing in court against us. He's not filing a brief against us. So we recently sought a preliminary injunction in that court because we are concerned that he might try to move Tommy out of the state of New York, and he refused to file an opposition. So we're waiting for the court to decide whether or not it's going to issue the preliminary injunction, and then we'll show up. We'll be ready for oral argument in either October or November, and if we lose, we'll seek further review from the highest court in the state of New York, which is the Court of Appeals, and if we win, well then we'll have to see what the other side does, if they do anything.
I hope you win.
So do we.
Yeah, of course.
But honestly, we understand that while we spent the Nonhuman Rights Project has worked about 30,000 hours to prepare these 3 suits and to actually begin the strategic litigation campaign, and we understand that there's a distinct possibility that we will not win the first suits because judges simply aren't familiar with it. They don't know exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it. I mean, for us, it's a matter of second nature. We think our arguments are very powerful. Our legal arguments are very powerful. Our facts are very powerful. But it's something novel, and it may take judges a while to begin to really understand their power.
Even with all of the evidence out there and scientific evidence to show how similar they are to us, really, in many ways.
Yes, it's something new, and we understand that, and you have to find judges who are willing to take the time to understand it, and then willing to be the first.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
In fact, one of the judges in the lower court, in the Supreme Court in Niagara Falls, where we filed suit on behalf of a chimpanzee named Kiko, actually said that he thought our briefs were great, our arguments were great, and actually so did Tommy's judge. And he said, I'm not going to be the first to make that leap of faith. And we understand. These are lower court judges. They don't have any guidance from the higher courts. They probably don't want to be the first to do it. They're not sure if they're right or not. So the safest thing is to say, I'm not going to do it, and take it up on appeal. And that's what we are expecting, and we're not sure whether the intermediate appellate courts or the Court of Appeals of New York are going to rule in our favor as well. It may take a while for judges to be able to grasp this and really have the arguments begin to percolate through a lot of courts and through legal conferences and legal journals. But you have to start somewhere. You're not going to win unless you begin.
Right.
So we have definitely begun. Sometimes it reminds me of Winston Churchill when he gave an address after the Battle of El Alamein, where he said, in which the British finally beat the Germans in North Africa, and he said, "It's not the end. It's not the what did he say? I'm so tired here." He said, "This is not the end. It's not the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning." And that's what we see our three cases being. At the very least, it's the end of the beginning.
Yeah, and you're paving the way, for things to change.
We're doing that consciously.
Yeah, and I deeply admire that. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. And for all of you watching, please, if you'd like to know more about Stephen's amazing, amazing work, please go to nonhumanrightsproject.org to learn more and to support his wonderful work. Thank you.
Well, I actually am. I am wearing. I'll show you my Non-Human Rights Project T-shirt.
Ooh, and you have those for sale on your website?
Yes, we do.
Wonderful.
I usually don't wear T-shirts when I go, but I thought I would wear my Non-Human Rights Project T-shirt today.
It's perfect, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go and buy a T-shirt, everyone. Great cause, great project, great everything. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.